Now at 4, the final push for the presidency. A look at how the candidates are getting ready to get the vote out in key battleground states.
And we've got rain on radar now, but we'll be timing out a line of wind-whipped rain for Election Day in the forecast.
And jarring the jurors, the graphic video shown today during day 15 of the Delphi murders trial. Live from Indy, you're watching 13 News.
It's Monday, and it's the final frantic full day of the 2024 presidential campaign. Good afternoon. I'm Anne Marie Tiernan in today for Dustin Grove.
And I'm Felicia Lawrence. Thanks for watching 13 News at 4. Now, both Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are holding several rallies in key swing states as they try to win the White House.
And one of the most pivotal states, as we've been watching for some time right now, of course, is the state of Pennsylvania. And that's where NBC's Jay Gray is reporting today with the very latest.
Well, just one day left of campaigning before Election Day, and much of the focus will be right here in Pennsylvania. We are in Doylestown, that's in Bucks County, one that is decidedly split between Republicans and Democrats, like so many across this state, one of a handful, maybe a half dozen swing states, which will be the focus on this final day of campaigning for both of the candidates. Vice President Harris will spend her entire day in Pennsylvania, crisscrossing the state. She'll bring along some of her high-profile supporters for rallies across this state, and former President Trump will be here for a majority of the day as well. He, too, bringing along many of his supporters for those rallies. He will also visit the swing states of North Carolina and Michigan before wrapping things up and heading back to Florida. As for Vice President Harris, she'll go back to D.C., and they will both watch the results come in tomorrow. Now, there's concern that in some of the states, including here in Pennsylvania, those results may not be ready for at least a couple of days. You may remember 4 years ago, it wasn't until the weekend that we knew Joe Biden had won Pennsylvania. They do tell us, officials here in Pennsylvania, they believe they've got the process that has been stepped up. It will be a bit quicker at this point, maybe a day or so after the voting. They will know a winner here, and they will need to know because the last NBC News nationwide poll of voters shows it split right down the middle. 49% supporting Harris, 49% supporting Trump, and 2% that are left. That's what they're fighting for as they wrap up the campaign. That's the latest from here in Doylestown. I'm Jay Gray, NBC News.
And early voting ended at noon today all across the state, but not everyone who lined up to cast their ballot early got a chance to vote.
No, that's right. Some of the voters told 13 News that they were turned away after being told that they weren't registered. And as Emily Longnecker found out today, these voters are confused and they have some questions about how this all could have happened.
It was supposed to be his first time voting.
He was so excited.
But when Donna Mills' 18-year-old son Nelson went to vote last week in Johnson County, he was told he couldn't.
They put the driver's license in the little scanner and they scanned it and they said, you're not registered, you'll want to contact somebody because we can't take your vote today.
Mills says her son registered last September at the BMV when he was still 17. She thought perhaps the BMV had dropped the ball in sending in Nelson's registration application. But when Mill contacted Johnson County voter registration, she was told Nelson's registration had been denied.
He turned 18 after the primary elections in May. He turned 18 in June. So because of the time frame of his date of birth, they weren't able to accept his registration.
It has to be something.
Pike Township trustee and poll watcher Annette Johnson says she's watched other voters get turned away too, at 3 different voting locations, after also being told they weren't registered.
They are all adamant that they register to vote at the BMV.
Johnson says she also got phone calls from voters who had the same experience. Voters who told her they had also registered through the BMV.
What is the breakdown? Because clearly there is a breakdown that's happening.
Johnson says the voters she saw this happen to were able to fill out provisional ballots that won't be counted until after the election, when the election board determines if they can be. 13 News contacted the BMV to see if they'd received any reports of issues. They sent a statement which said, quote, the BMV has not received reports of application issues. After a voter registration goes through our system, it is in the hands of the Indiana Election Division. We also reached out to the Indiana Election Division and are waiting on a response. For Donna Mill and her son Nelson, the experience has turned out to be a cautionary tale in the importance of checking to make sure you're registered to vote before heading to the polls.
When you are able to vote, it's a rite of passage. It's adulting 101.
This time, though, Mill's son won't be experiencing that right. He's been told he's got no choice but to sit this one out. Emily Longnecker, 13 News.
And polls are officially closed for early voting. This morning, we saw a line forming outside of the City County building. That's at 5:45, but more than 2 hours before polls opened. Election officials say so far more than 1 million people have voted here in the Hoosier State, with more than 132,000 people voting in person in Marion County alone. That number surpassing early voting in 2020.
If anyone's faith was a little shaky, this will restore it, being around voters. And they're not all happy, but they're all doing something that's very important to our democracy.
Polls will continue to open tomorrow morning. Polls will open tomorrow morning, rather, at 6 a.m. and they close at 6 p.m. So if you need help finding your polling location, we placed a link for you, an interactive map where you can just type in your address and then find the nearest polling location. That's on our website at WTHR.com.
And now to the latest in the Delphi murders trial.
Today, the defense called its 11th witness and showed graphic videos showing Richard Allen in prison.
Our investigative reporter Bob Siegel was in the courtroom today.
An important witness this morning, a neuropsychologist who took the stand to give some powerful evidence to assist in the defense of Richard Allen. Dr. Polly Westcott told jurors that she met with Allen in prison to conduct a series of psychological exams on him. And she also reviewed prison videos and phone calls Allen made while in prison to help her write a 127-page report with a detailed set of conclusions. Among those, Richard Allen suffered from major depressive disorder and psychosis during the time period that he confessed to killing Abby and Libby. And she said he was not faking or exaggerating his mental health problems at that time. That contradicts reports from some prison officials who said they think Allen was making up his mental condition to make it simply appear he was crazy. And it helps counter the most damaging evidence against Allen so far. The recorded phone calls the jury has already heard in which Allen confesses to the murders to both his wife and his mother. Also today, to support that testimony from Dr. Westcott, jurors got to see 2 videos that show Richard Allen inside his prison cell. Only jurors could see those videos in court. Those of us in the gallery could not. But we were told the videos showed Allen eating his own feces and banging his head against the wall of his cell. Jurors were visibly upset as they watched the videos. Some of them winced and repeatedly looked away. Again, an effort by the defense to try to convince jurors that Richard Allen's mental health was so deteriorated in prison that it drove him to make false confessions. Prosecutor Nick McLeland got into a heated exchange with one of the witnesses right after that video was played for the jury. I'll tell you about that coming up at 5. In Delphi, Bob Siegel, 13 News.
Well, we've had some welcome rain here around central Indiana for today. Now, the coverage of rain on live Doppler 13 radar will be easing over the next few hours. And it's not only been a little bit wet, it's been certainly warm for this time of year. We're going to dive into those numbers in just a little bit. 70 still at this hour in Richmond, 65 here in Indy. And this will be our weather player for Election Day. Coming up in the forecast, we're going to let you know when that wind-whipped line of rain will be moving in. We'll see you with that coming up here in just a little bit.
All right, Sean, and a quick check of traffic here. Here is a broad overview of our viewing area right now. Things are moving smoothly, looking clear. We also have one camera we want to show you. Here's a look at I-65 and County Line Road. Things moving in both directions.